Hello, I'm Marge McDonald, Director of the Burlington Council on Aging, and welcome to my next chapter, a show where we explore what comes after retirement and the next chapter in your lives. My guest today is Lori Becker. Lori is the owner and head coach at CrossFit Exclamation in Burlington. She grew up in Andover and holds a master's degree from BU, Entrepreneurial Management Institute, along with multiple CrossFit and personal training certifications. She began coaching, swimming, gymnastics, added yoga, and after-school kids programs, and now coaches strength and conditioning classes for all ages. In addition, she teaches mobility and flexibility classes both at the gym and to local businesses. In addition to CrossFit Exclamation, Lori started and is CEO of a K-12 educational publishing services company that celebrated its 17th year in business last year. Prior to being in Burlington, she was chairman of the Andover Center Merchants Association and a selectman for the town of Andover. Currently, she is very active in the community as a member of the Burlington Chamber of Commerce and vice president of the Rotary Club of Burlington. Welcome, Lori. Thank you for being on the show. Before we start, I just want to make sure everybody remembers in their head before they start doing any exercises that you check in with your doctor before beginning any exercise program or even going on to the next level. So if you're just walking and not doing anything and you want to take it to the next level, weights or running or whatever, you need to talk to your doctor to make sure that's safe for your situation. Can you tell me how you got interested in CrossFit? Let's start there.
Yeah, I actually, I was ballroom dancing of all things, and I started competing, and I didn't have the arm strength to do the movements I needed to do at the level that I was at when I started competing. So I had done a couple CrossFit classes in different states when I was traveling for work and looked into it here and couldn't really find anything, and tried a couple of, at the time there weren't that many of them out there, but found a couple of gyms that I liked and really liked it and thought I would just dance 5 days and do strength and conditioning one day, and it sort of flip-flopped. And then I was, a lot of people that were in that community were in their 20s and 30s and not a lot of people in their 40s at the time. And so I think a lot of people thought I worked there. So I decided to get certified because I had already taught a lot of other classes. Mm-hmm. And I was just working with people anyway and helping them if they didn't know the movements or needed to modify. And so it just sort of kind of morphed into that. So didn't expect to be doing this, but it's definitely something that that sort of fits with who I am and what I do.
So you've been physical most of your adult life?
Yeah, I used to did gymnastics when I was a kid and competed in states a lot. And then my gymnastics coach, one of my gymnastics coaches started a diving team, so I did that. And so the other one started a synchronized swim team, so I did that. And just kind of evolve and just try new things and see how they go. And I've always just sort of done something. And I've always coached on the side. I started coaching swimming and then lifeguard teacher training and different kinds of things along the way, and just as sort of an add-on for college and just different jobs and something to do, and it all seemed to relate to fitness. And I've taught a lot of kids classes, and I actually have taught a lot of adults how to swim, which is, teaching adults how to swim is very tough. So the transition into CrossFit and doing some kind of strength and conditioning with adults has been really easy for me because we have a lot of different fears as adults than I think you do as kids. Like, we don't really want to step off the sidewalk the wrong way, or we certainly don't want to be upside down, and different kinds of things that you have to learn.
You see that with computers, that we're terrified of making the wrong move, and kids just fearlessly attack their computer and do whatever they think they want to do. So CrossFit Exclamation, or CFE, offers classes specifically for the older exerciser.
Yep.
So is it CrossFit, or, forgive me the pun, a cross between CrossFit and something else?
I would say it's a wow, I can't even say that. It's a tongue twister. I would say it's different because I teach a lot of mobility classes. Just it's something that I do. I've been a yoga teacher, so I started doing mobility work sort of before class to after class, stretching and really working on balance and coordination, and that sort of morphed into the way that I teach. So our 60 plus classes, which are really 55 plus, but we have some people that go in regular classes and modify, or they go in the 60 plus and modify. It just depends on what the person's doing. But it's a lot more mobility, flexibility, balance, coordination, and a little bit of strength training. So, because that's really the important thing is, I feel like if you stop doing certain things, then, you're gonna, the use it or lose it, I guess.
Well, you've heard me
So.
talk, and my,
I have.
my big speech is
Yeah.
that, you know, whatever you do for exercise is great. And
Yeah.
for some folks, that might just be the process of getting up in the morning, getting
Yep.
dressed, and getting on the COA bus to come to the center
Yep.
and not even exercise, but just
But just be there.
be there and,
Right.
and be social and be engaged. It's really important to keep moving. You know, if you sit on the sofa, everything starts to degenerate, and
Yep.
you just atrophy. And then one day you get up and your muscles don't move, and down on the floor you go, and you become a statistic. So it's really important
Yep.
to keep that movement going at all times.
And I think that's something that we talk about in classes a lot. Sorry, is that we, regardless of age, and we have athletes in our gym that have had injuries, whether it's in college or after college, or they were skiing when they were 45 and thought that was a great idea, and they were fine, and then they got home and they tripped on the carpet coming in. So you never really know, but we're very, very conscious of shoulders, hips, ankles, knees. So just trying to be mindful of how to move and how best to move. And, if you can't do a full squat, don't do one. It's fine. You've got to get to the point where you can move a little better than you're moving today.
Right. So
These are the tough questions coming,
well,
I
no,
can
so
tell.
it is a cross between CrossFit and
It's a cross,
something else.
really. I would say for most people, it's more of a low impact with some weights if that's something that you can manage and if you feel comfortable doing it. So I guess my parents are a great example. My dad, my parents take my classes when they come, which I know is I'm skipping ahead to one of the questions, but when my parents are in town, they live in Arizona, they do come to my classes. And my dad has been very active. He played basketball for years. He's a runner, and he retired not once, not twice, but 3 times. He is now officially retired. But he grabbed
now.
a pair of 15, well, for now, I never know. But the first class he came to, he grabbed a pair of 15-pound weights. And I said to him, I don't know if that's the best idea. And he's like, no, it's fine. And so I had brought some other lower weights over, and he switched right away because he hadn't done anything with any kind of weight overhead in quite some time, except for, putting things away at home and, things like that. But it was a little bit of an eye-opener. So,
Well, just to jump ahead, I mean, when you do these classes, are you doing, even with the seniors, is it a 30-second or are they doing 10 reps?
it depends on the person.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes, moving without any weight is fine, just getting the technique down and making sure that their body's in the right position and nothing hurts. That's really the big thing. And then weights if needed.
Because I was going to say, I mean, when I'm doing something that's timed, it's much more, I need a much lighter weight than if I'm just doing 10 reps or 12 reps and moving on.
We modify everything in all of our classes regardless, but I guess an example I can give you is I have somebody in class now that was supposed to have 2 knee surgeries. And she came to class and she does one of our lighter classes, which is more similar to the 60-plus class, but it's a little bit more, a little faster music, I would say. A little more, less mobility and a little bit more work. And she came because she didn't want to have knee surgeries. So her squat when she started was really just the slightest bend in her knees. And it's taken 3, 4, 5, 6 months, but she can actually squat in a chair now and stand up very easily. So, and that was the goal. So as far as we know, no surgery.
I think that's another important point is that,
But it was slow going. It was, it was twice a week, slow,
Yep.
modify everything, just
but I
take
think,
it easy, but
and
she
I
was
think
moving.
If things seem frozen to you and you can't move them, just start slow. We had a woman many, many decades ago at the center who had a bad back and wore a brace, and by the time I met her 20 years later, she didn't even walk with a cane. So, and it was just slowly over time, getting herself there. So here's a question for you, though. You have this class specifically for older
10 o'clock in the
exercisers.
morning, Monday through Thursday.
What about those that really want to step it up? Can they take the
Sure.
CrossFit classes?
They can.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely. And like I say, we have a blend of people. We have some people that take our light classes, which have no barbells in them, just dumbbells or nothing. And some people take both classes. Some people transition into the traditional classes. It's really more a schedule. I mean, it is your ability level and the teacher that you like and the class that you like and the movements that you like. But I feel like a lot of the time it's schedule driven. It really
sure
seems
it
to be you know, when you can come. And if you go to the regular class, you just scale it down. It's not really.
Because I like the idea of the senior one, but in 13 months when I turn 55, I can't do a 10 o'clock class. So what kind of equipment do you use in the class?
Mostly body weight at first. For the senior class, it's for the 60 plus, it's all body weight. We do use small steps to step up on, but you're supported and they're not, you know, just sort of in the middle of the room. We use some resistance bands. We use yoga blocks, and we do use light dumbbells and PVC pipes, and we have which weigh about 2 to 3 pounds, and then after that, the training barbells are 15 pounds. So it depends on the person, but a lot of body weight movements, a lot of reps with no weight at first, and it really changes in the class. I might have somebody in class that doesn't have any weight, and the person next to them might have, you know, 15 pounds in their hands. It's just, it may be the day for them, it may be, you know, how they're feeling, it may be their movement, and then the next thing we do, it might be the opposite. You know, somebody might be just doing marching with high knees, and somebody else might be jumping rope because that's what their knees can handle that day.
Great. So, do you include balance, flexibility, and mobility in your class, which is obviously the cornerstone of exercising as you get older?
All the time. But I sneak it in. So you don't always know it's there, but it is. Because we don't do much, you know, on one foot. We don't do much, you know, one foot, one leg. I mean, we really shouldn't be, but, you know, we were talking about falls and injury earlier, and then that's really what it is. I mean, if you're going to, a lot of falls are because you have lost your balance, and, you know, you need the strength to get up, or you need the balance to catch yourself as you're going down, and so.
My parents used to laugh at me because I would show them that I could put my socks on standing up.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
But then after having surgery, I was like, oh, I can't do that anymore, and realized that, I mean, that seems to be my level for me, that I want to, my baseline is, can I get my socks on while I'm standing up? Which seems a little weird, I know, but it's a good one to have.
It is.
It's a good baseline. I know a lot of people are, they're nervous walking into a new gym that they don't know anybody. CrossFit is intimidating. As you know, the WODs, which is the workout of the day, and all of that. You know, you see these big hulking people, and they're jumping on big boxes, and, you know, powerlifting these huge barbells. Should people be nervous about coming in?
No, they really shouldn't. And it's funny because so what people see on TV with CrossFit and all of that, sort of these giant humans, that's our Olympics. You know, and I say this all the time to people, that's what you see on TV for CrossFit and the CrossFit Games is our Olympics. So, you know, and I watch the regular Olympics, and I certainly would love to do a balance beam routine like Caitlin Ohashi does, but it's not for me. So I'm not going to walk into a gymnastics place and be like, hey, I want to do that routine. So for us, it's really, and that's sort of the tough thing, is that I really believe in the CrossFit philosophy and the movement and small group classes and learning together and having a good time when you're doing it. But unfortunately, it's taken kind of a bad rap. So I think that's the tough part. But I always say to people, it's like the hardest thing is just walking in the door. And then I would say, most people say to me, I should have come in here 3 months ago. I was just nervous. You know, and it's not, you know, and I have a great staff. They're very, very friendly. And we actually, a lot of times we bring people in for tours. We just come in your regular clothes, take a look around the gym and see if it's a good fit. It's just, you know, every gym is different, and sort of equate them to coffee shops. You know, there's a Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts for a reason.
Right.
So, you know, if you like our style, and we have a great time there. All of our coaches have, you know, most of us, except for one, we're over 40. And so we're very conscious of, you know, working out, feeling better, being healthy, and we still have to go to work in the morning, or we still have, you know, pick up our grandkids, or we still have, you know, other things we're doing in volunteering. So very mindful of that, but moving better is really the goal.
Functional fitness. And I think, you know, the older you get, you have to worry less about your what you look like, and much more about your functional fitness and making sure that you don't fall, because nobody looks good laying in a hospital bed.
I'm not going to use that.
It's the truth.
But it's true.
We just want to avoid the hospital. That's
No,
all.
it's true.
It's
I
all
mean,
about avoiding the hospital.
This winter, you know, I'm really involved in a lot of things in town. I'm very involved in Rotary, which I love. And, you know, I am one of the younger folks in that group. And, you know, it was sort of this like holding our breath all winter to make sure, you know, is anybody going to fall? Is anybody going to be out? Because that is our group and those are our, you know, that's our family. And we did have somebody who fell, and it was, as he says, a silly accident. And, you know, it put him out, you know, in rehab and home for almost 4 months. And so, you know, that's rough, but and it was a silly little thing that happened, and it's not, I mean, it could happen to anybody.
Yeah.
You know.
So what kind of people come to the gym besides your parents when they're visiting?
Besides my parents, we have kids classes, we have teens, we have adult classes. I do fun things. I had hula hoop class last year, and this year we have Bali X classes, mobility, yoga. So I would say all ages. I don't, and you know, there's really no age barrier in classes. I mean, some of our teens go into adult classes because honestly, it's either more convenient for their parents' schedule, or they're just at the level that they want, you know, a little bit more challenge. And a lot of kids these days work out with their parents anyway, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I think we all try to get our kids to
yeah,
work out with us so
we
they know
do.
the importance of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And
And we have people from all towns too, sorry, because we're in the rec department in a lot of towns, so it's,
Oh, good. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we actually have a walking group, and the teachers that were at the track at the high school, and the
Yeah.
teachers say they like us down there. You know, we're always like checking to make sure that we're not in the way.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
no, because you're showing the kids that,
Yeah.
you know, it's a
Exactly.
lifelong
Yep.
adventure. You don't just get out of high school and stop working out, or college. So I was looking at the website, and I
Yeah.
saw something called a no sweat intro.
Yeah.
What is that?
That is what we sort of refer to as a tour. Just come in, your regular clothes, check out the gym, talk to us, watch a class for a few minutes, kind of see what's going on, and see if it's something you might want to do.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the tough thing is a lot of people are used to going to sort of like more of like a go in and do it yourself kind of a gym, and not used to having people to work with and you know, knowing people there. I mean, I travel a lot for work, and I've certainly walked into gyms that, you know, in like the hotel that there are 10 people there and no one says a word. And it's really intimidating, but you know, everybody here is pretty friendly and kind of keeps track of each other. There's a lot of accountability that way. And just getting to know other people, which is a big, you know, the social aspect of it, regardless of age, is you know, it's a really important thing.
And I saw that you guys have personal training, so if you're
We
nervous,
do.
you can do one-on-one. And
Yeah, and a lot of times we'll do like 1 or 2 classes one-on-one, or 1-on-2 if you have a husband or friend or whatever, just to kind of get an idea, because it's like anything, you know, you don't want to walk in and not know anything that's
Anybody.
going on.
Or-
But most people do know a lot of the movements, they just don't know that they're going to see them in these classes. So I always say it's everything that you did in junior high and high school, and not so good at it, but now you can do it.
Okay. Except rope climbing, right?
You can rope climb.
Can you in a regular CrossFit?
It's not as hard as it was when we were younger. It really isn't.
Okay.
It's a different.
But I'm assuming that you don't have rope climbing in the senior class, or do you?
No, not in the senior class, unless they really want to. But no, I really wouldn't advise that.
Okay. So we are going to demonstrate some of the classes, or not some of the exercises. We're going to do a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the benefits of each exercise, as well as the general benefits of CrossFit and exercise in general while we're doing that. So hold on.
I'm always the first one up. I'm always up for a challenge. I'll overcome any obstacle. I don't believe in limits. I refuse to be average.
All right, so Lori is going to demonstrate, or tell me what to do, I should
Yep.
say, of what exercises the class for seniors
Yep.
does. So
Yep.
tell me what to do.
Okay, so before we get started though, we would normally, just so you guys know, we would do a warm-up, go over the workout, and then do any kind of flexibility or any kind of warm-ups that we need to do to get ready for what we're going to be doing during class. So we've been talking about squats a lot, which are really important, and they're everywhere. So So we're going to talk about what the different scales are and what kind of things you guys could do in class. So if you have a full squat, do you have a full squat? You want me to do it? Should I do it?
Go ahead.
Do it? Okay. Okay, so your full squat is going to be down here. So your tush is going to be below your knees. But that's not always accessible for everybody. So the first thing to do would be sitting in a chair. Do you want to, okay, you want to try it? We're going to cross over this thing. Yep, so just sitting in a chair and then stand up. Yep, and then have a seat. And then stand up a little bit faster. Good. And that would be the cue that we would use just to kind of get you moving so you're not sitting in the chair a little bit too long and your tush. And then the other way would be if you wanted to use a chair for balance, which I used to teach at the senior center a while back. And we used chairs a lot in class. And honestly, we got rid of them after like 2 or 3 classes. I think people were less nervous. So you can definitely squat holding the chair. So we're going to have you do that. And that's it. Great. And then we can add things to that. We can add some weights. We can add some resistance bands. You can have your hand overhead, which you can't do holding on to. You could do it with one hand. Yeah, try it with one hand with your hand over your head. Yeah. So, and then I would just try to keep your elbows straight. Yeah, good. And go ahead. One more.
Oh,
Good.
that's harder.
It is harder, which means you can't go as far down. So, and that's just something we would modify and just work on. Because there are times when you do need to pick up something off the ground and put it up overhead. So just kind of working on the overhead extension. Some balance.
Okay.
We talked about that a lot. So I kind of want to move this chair, but I don't know if I should.
Go ahead.
Okay. Just going to move it out a tiny bit. So for balance, you know, and it's tough. I have my knees a little bit sore, so we'll see how this goes today. I'm kind of already leaning on one side, but you know, just bringing your toe up in front, and then if you can bring it off the ground. So, and if that's too tough, and if I'm going to switch sides, to really be careful on this side. But, you know, for me, I might just tap my toe and not actually bring my foot off the ground just because my knee is a little bit wonky today. But it depends on the person. And if I wanted to, I could just hold on to this chair, and then I'm fine picking that knee up. It's not going to lock out for me. So
Okay.
different kinds of things for different people. We do a lot of lunging. And
On doing something like that, do you do the same leg over and over, or do you?
you'd probably
go
do, we
other?
would do, you know, we do it static on one side, so not moving your body at all. And then, you know, try it backwards, which means you're going to move a little bit more, and then out to the side too. So I'm going to have you do all 3 of them. So can you go forward? Like 4.
As I fall over.
I know, you can hold the chair.
can't.
And then you can, and then 4 back. See, that was easier for you. And then can you go 4 to the side? Good. Yep. And then all this you can add bands to or add different, you know, different weights if you need them or not need them. But I think the repetition is the big thing. And we always do a couple at first because for me, I would like to do 4 at first of each type just to see, for me with my knee, just to kind of see how it's feeling that day and make sure, you know, if I need to have weight on one side but not the other, then I already know before I get into the class and, you know, have to stop. So better you know in the beginning and you know what to do and what your body's capable of that day.
Upper body? You do upper body exercises?
We do a lot because I feel like the overhead movement is something that you just kind of get around. And I say this because my folks have raised 7 grandkids and, you know, they spend a lot of time sort of scooping them up, which is sort of not the right way to go, but, you know, picking them up correctly. But there's always something they need. The kids can't reach and my parents are reaching for it. They're in their 70s. They're very active. Thankfully, they both do a lot of different classes in their area, but you know, everything overhead, so light weights or no weights, and then just both, you know, both. We can do sort of a shoulder press with nothing. Just pretend you have something in your hands and just straight up and over. Yep.
I can feel that actually.
Yeah.
I have not been to the gym in a couple of months, people.
Which she told me, which is why there are no weights here today. But yeah, just even those 4 overhead, and then if we do 4 to the side, yep.
Or go like this.
That's fine, yeah.
And do it. What am I doing now?
Just come down to your sides.
I'm going to stand in front of you.
Yep, and then straight back up. Yep, and right back down, and back up. Good, and 2 more.
You can feel that
That's
in
3.
the shoulders.
Yeah, and 1 more is 4. Okay, so then move your hands out in front of you, like a monster, I guess. I know, right? And just from here, see if you can bring that right arm back up over your head. Yeah, and back down. And the left one. So right, ears and elbows, yep. That's 2. We're gonna try to do 4 and see what happens. You guys can see her face and let me know. She's got any kind of awkward
start to
face
go
going on.
over.
But you know, good. And then 1 last set. Good. She's also golfing later, so this might actually help with the shoulder rotation and getting
so I'm feeling
some
it.
juice moving in those joints a
I
little
feel
bit.
that in my front
Yeah.
shoulders and just a little bit right here.
Yep, and that's where you should. Yeah, because that's the stiff part. Just sort of the shoulder rotation kind of stops, and then sort of it stops us all when it starts to feel uncomfortable. So, just we always say getting those joints a little more juice in them, and kind of getting things moving a little bit better.
If you don't move,
So,
everything just freezes up, and then you can't do anything.
Yeah, yeah. And then we were talking about jump roping earlier, so which is a tough thing, and I get that. And jumping rope is, some people are great at it, and some people it's tough, but it's it's definitely coordination. And speed and and strength too. And so we were talking about falling before, which I hate to say that again, but if you fall, that's your balance. You've got to be able to catch yourself, whether there's a chair there or not, and then the strength to get up off the ground. So the upper body movements are really essential for that.
I feel like in the end, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Is making sure you've got that balance. And Tai Chi, the classes, they will, I think once a year he will go through and have the class just work on falling and how to catch yourself when you fall or how to get up when you fall.
Yep.
And it's huge. And I mean, that's not falling is what gives you a good retirement as you age. I mean, if you fall and you break something, even if it heals, it's not ever going to be the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. Yeah, and we were talking about this earlier about our list to do after we retire, things we want to try, and mine are a lot of active things. So and traveling, and I want to be able to do that. And my folks are luckily very active in their 70s, and they travel a lot, and it's absolutely because they keep moving. So so I think that's a big piece of it for me, and I love this age too, because I don't know, I just have a lot of fun with it, and we have a blast, and it's kind of.
You don't have the responsibility of the kids, but you don't.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing. Like the kids are, constantly learning, asking questions, and it's just a different group. But I don't know, I just really like working with seniors. It's something I've just always done, and I really like doing it. And so.
Great. Any other exercises before we run out of
I
time?
want to have you.
I'm good.
Good shape for the golf course.
No, I'm good.
No, I think that's good. But I think just to reiterate that, and everybody's different. Your body's different on different days, and so just modify for the best that you can do that day. And we were talking earlier about I used to teach at the senior center for a while, and we it's funny because we did a lot of squats, and with different kind of going in a circle, going backwards, walking forward, backwards, sideways, which is all super important for the same things we've been talking about. But after a little while, a lot of the ladies were telling me that it was a lot easier to get around, and just like daily living was just a lot easier, and just kind of getting, especially the hips moving as much as we could. And
it's amazing how many
so it was really great. Yeah,
there are of squats. It's crazy.
Squats are everywhere. They're in everything, but better than stressing your back out and your lumbar if you can't.
I did a
if you
squat.
Can't bend down.
I did a squat challenge last year, I think it was, and I was amazed at how many squats I could do at the end of the month, and how strong my quads were.
It really does change a lot. Yeah, and for your back too, definitely has a good good impact on your lower back too. So yeah.
Okay, so
I think that's good. I hope that's a good.
That was great.
Good idea of what.
Thank you.
What stuff we do in class.
Yeah. So
but,
as you can all see, it was
very easygoing.
Very easy to do. Don't be intimidated. If you're coming to the senior center and you feel like it's not enough and you need to step it up a little bit, you probably want to try Crossfit Exclamation in the senior class. You can move up from there. Or, if you're at a gym and you're just doing solo and you want to be a little more social, because honestly, being social is where it's at as you get older. And your circles get smaller and smaller, unfortunately, and you need to broaden those circles so you're staying socially engaged, which is just as important as being physically engaged and physically moving. So, Lori, thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. I hope you'll come back again, and maybe we'll do some weights, or maybe
we'll
take
bring
it on
some
the road.
Weights next time. We'll see what happens.
I'm Marge McDonald, and this is My Next Chapter. Thank you for joining us. Until next time.